Did you have any belief that you would one day be running your own business?
I probably did in my mind, but I think it was more of a goal. I don't know if it was, hey, I'm prepared to run a business, because I was not prepared to run a business. I tell people all the time, listen, the guys I worked for who I thought made stupid decisions and they didn't know what they were doing, they were a lot smarter than I thought. And I learned that very early.
Join us for the annual Manufacturers and Suppliers event in Schaumburg, Illinois on Tuesday, March 26th. At this one-day tabletop event, you'll have the opportunity to network with fellow industry professionals and discover the latest production and manufacturing processes that can drive your business. The event will kick off with a keynote speaker from the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. Visit fmamfg.org to learn more.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Fabricator podcast.
Yet another.
Yes. Today's episode, we have Todd Ludlow of Ludlow Manufacturing out of Waukegan, Illinois. His company won the Fabricator's Industry Award for 2024, and pretty nice conversation with someone who has a growing company and experiencing a lot of success.
A lot of success and just a really interesting mind that he brings to his business. I
think people will enjoy the conversation. But before we jump into it, we'll just say hellos. Lincoln Bruner.
Howdy.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. Gareth Slager's here today.
I am.
Brandon Geyer, our technical producer. I don't know if we shout him out enough. Good
Woot
job,
woot.
Brandon. So in a previous episode of the Fabricator podcast, we had our friend Josh Welton from Brown Dog Welding. He was joined by our coworker Rafael Guerrero of the Welder, and they chatted with Greg Davis of Redbeard Garage. And during that conversation, there was a reference made to Garbage Pail Kids.
And lo and behold.
Served as a little bit of inspiration for a listener to the podcast, Sean Graham out of the Bay Area, who welder, fabricator by trade, who decided, hey, I'm going to make a metal fabrication of my favorite Garbage Pail Kid.
We had no idea we were going to inspire a full garbage pail.
How could you know that?
And so not only inspire, but like Sean's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
As opposed to us hosting podcasts. But so he is in the midst of it. He's getting close to completion.
Yeah.
He's to the point where I don't know if as this conversation is taking place, you'll be able to see something. But Atom Bomb has a big hole in his head. And we're at the stage of the project where I think Sean's working on the epoxy mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
It's not complete without an epoxy mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
Of course not. But it looks pretty sharp. It's
And he wants to put LED lights in there so there's some sort of illumination coming out of the head.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Glow of destruction.
Maybe we can drum up some early interest amongst the garbage pail
community.
Yeah. Maybe they're out there saying like, "Wow, I want a 3D rendering of my favorite Garbage Pail Kid." So so Sean's work on Atom Bomb is gonna look pretty sharp.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of posts on his Instagram.
What's his handle?
The Driven Welder.
There you go.
So check it out. He's got, he gives quite a few updates with the
Shout out
process.
to Sean. If you want to bring that to FabTech, please do.
If you find yourself in Orlando, Sean.
You find yourself in Orlando, we would love to see you with Atom Bomb.
You could probably fly on a plane with Atom Bomb in your lap. He's about the size of a 2-year-old.
That's true. I was just talking to him before we started recording, and I said, we're going to send him a T-shirt. So if you make a sculpture inspired by this conversation, we'll send you a T-shirt.
We'll send you a T-shirt.
Yeah. I just...
which is, the amount of effort that it takes on their end and the amount of effort it takes for us to put a stamp on a shirt.
Well,
the disparity is kind of...
let the audience know that you actually hand sew each of those T-shirts.
That's true.
Well, check out Sean Graham, and we appreciate his skills.
Very much.
And he does other things too. There's a 3D replica of Michael Myers mask.
Yeah, it's frightening.
Which is both useful and artistic.
It's a little bit more scary than just the synthetic rubber or whatever.
Yeah, it's I'm imagining there'll be a time where Halloween 22 will be out and they might have a need for metal masks.
Yeah.
So
I feel like every time they come up with a new one, they're always like, this is the last one. And then
They could work one more in.
yeah.
I saw a clip where it was a clip from one of the Halloween movies where Michael Myers is patiently turning left at an intersection. I don't even know what the reference was. It's just very funny. Like, here's a killer, and he's just going to take his time and obey the traffic laws.
What are the moments of his everyday life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like grocery shopping. Anyway.
So, yeah. So, thank you, Sean, for the work and sharing your updates with us. And we'll get that T-shirt out to you. And if you have any comments or want to give us a shout out, please do. You can reach us at, here we go, I'm going to do it earlier, podcast@fmamfg.org.
Perfect.
And you're going to enjoy this episode with Todd Ludlow of Ludlow Manufacturing.
It's that time of year again. Time for all students pursuing a manufacturing-related degree in a 2- or 4-year program to apply for a scholarship from FMA's foundation, Nuts, Bolts, and Thingamajigs. Eligible students can receive up to $3,500 per year for their program. Applications for fall 2024 are being accepted until March 31st. Get all the details and apply today at fmamfg.org. And now, back to the episode.
Today's guest is Todd Ludlow. You might know him from the pages of the Fabricator. He is our 2024 Industry Award winner and also founder and president of Ludlow Manufacturing Inc. in Waukegan, Illinois. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So how's your life changed since being the Industry Award winner?
I get more text messages from friends. I think giving me crap. But
Bonus. It's always a bonus.
Did they consider you one to be a cover candidate for a magazine?
I don't know if they do. I don't know if at the time I really did. So
yeah,
you know,
we were doing the story. I think the point was made that it wasn't so much about you, but kind of the people you work with and people that make up Ludlow Manufacturing. Did they kind of did you get that expected buzz or kind of excitement with your coworkers?
Yes, we did. We got a lot of requests for magazines, which is probably the first time ever to get that many magazines. So yes, we definitely saw the buzz out in the shop and in the office. I think there's a lot of people very proud of it. I know I am.
Yeah, that's cool. So we'll get into some of the reasons why we thought Ludlow Manufacturing was worthy of the industry award. But can you give us an idea of how you got started in the business?
Yeah, so gosh almighty, I got to remember back. That was so long ago. 92, actually, I got my start in the business running a laser at night for a local shop that my uncle happened to be good friends with the owner, and started from there, ran lasers at night. Probably for about 8 months.
Okay.
Worked a day job also.
Wow.
And then was lucky enough to find a job that paid me as well didn't have to work 18 hours a day. That's right. And got some really good sales experience. And then
it's better for marital bliss if you're not working 2 jobs.
Yes. And then got called back by him and said, hey, I know you got sales experience. Come help me grow. So was able to help him grow quite a bit from 95 to 2000. And then left on my own to rep for a couple people. And in January of 2005, decided to strike out on my own and try it.
Yeah. What was it like to jump into sales for a metal fabricator? Like, what went through your head? Like, did you have a game plan coming into it?
I had absolutely no game plan. None.
What went through your head?
Yeah. So really it was, he handed me the Illinois Manufacturer's Guide, the Wisconsin Manufacturer's Guide, and said, go cold call.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did for a very long time.
Was that intimidating at first?
No, because the sales training I'd been through before, that's what most of it was about, was learning to deal with no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you can't deal with no, then you probably should do something else other than sales.
Then you should say no to sales. What was it like? I'm just hopping back really quick, not that it's germane to much of anything, but what was the wattage on that first laser you were using in 92?
1,500 watt.
Wow.
Wow, that's actually pretty powerful.
HD Mitsubishi.
Wow.
Yep.
So when you went into sales, what was the thing that what were some things you discovered about the business that you maybe didn't know before you went into full time?
Really at that time, so it was really different because laser cutting was just coming on its own in 95. I know it started back in the 80s, but you didn't see a lot of laser shops.
Right.
So, at first it was very difficult just because I didn't know who the customers were and who to call on.
Right.
And then, after about a good 9 months or so, you start seeing who the customers are. And it was, for a while there, you could fall out of the door and find work. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but you could find it easily. Did not know how fast paced it would be at all. Had no clue.
Wow.
All the changes, different parts, schedule changes, all the things I was not used to working in sales for a manufacturing company who had their own product line. Mm. They drove all that.
Yeah.
I didn't drive that. Nothing to do with it. It was just go out and sell it. So, coming into a fabricator, as you probably know, it changes every day.
Yeah.
And that was a big challenge. It really was.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did your background operating a laser help you any in terms of getting ahead of the curve when it came to sales?
Yeah, it did, because I knew enough to be dangerous. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I still went back to the owner a lot and said, hey, let's go make calls. I need help. And, he knew more about laser cutting than I would ever know at that point in time in my life. And, I got to learn a lot. I was very lucky. I had, a couple of people that I either worked or rep for who were really good in our industry. Very smart guys, know what they're doing, and was able to take a lot from them.
Can you kind of repeat the story that you shared with us as we were talking for the article for the Fabricator? What kind of motivated you to want to start your own business?
When I was independent repping, we were back in the time, material prices going up fast, and we were one of the first ones in at a major OEM, and thought, oh boy, this is going to be a challenge. And it was a challenge. But the biggest thing was basically having someone make a decision that wasn't my decision, and it was the wrong decision.
Ooh.
And we no longer were in that OEM. Several months later, we were gone, and now I had to start all over again. And it was, well, if I'm going to start all over again, let's figure out something different.
Yeah.
And I wanted to make the decisions, right or wrong,
Right.
I still wanted to make them, and it would be my fault for making them.
Right.
Did you have any belief that you would one day be running your own business?
I probably did in my mind, but I think it was more of a goal. I don't know if it was, hey, I'm prepared to run a business, because I was not prepared to run a business. I tell people all the time, listen, the guys I worked for who I thought made stupid decisions and they didn't know what they were doing, they were a lot smarter than I thought. And I learned that very early.
Yeah, it's sort of like
very early.
Kids and parents, right?
Yes. When they're 16, you don't know a thing.
Right. And then when they turn 22, suddenly you're a little more savvy.
Well, that was pretty good. If at 22 they started believing me, so you did a better job.
That is optimistic. Yeah, come to think of it.
So how'd you end up, what were the steps taken to get Ludlow Manufacturing off the ground?
I would say this, I'm not the great planner. I'm not. So if you asked me for a business plan, I'd probably chuckle at you. It's the same thing with call reports and stuff. I never did any of that stuff.
Really?
I tended to believe if I was doing my job and I was selling and I was making you money, if I'm not, then have the conversation and probably you should fire me. So I tend to believe that, motivation and going out and risking some money is great motivation.
Sure.
And it forces you to go out and work. And to say I had no plan would not be completely the truth, but, was everything on paper and I had this great big thing to go to the bank with? Absolutely not, no.
But tactically, it sounds like you had your act together.
Oh, yeah, I knew what mattered, and that was getting orders.
Yeah. Sure.
And I still believe that today. I mean, it sits behind me in my office that, I think it's Sam Walmart said, the only who can fire is your customer.
Yeah.
And I believe it 100%.
So really you had a line on work even before?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you had the equipment to kind of do it?
Yeah. I mean, I knew where the customers were from working in industry. And like I said, my first job, he gave me a manufacturer's guide, so I got pretty good at looking things up.
Right.
And figuring out who was outsourcing and who was not outsourcing. Right. So it wasn't that hard to go find the work, at least go call the customer. It was difficult getting work.
Yeah. But hustling intelligently can pay off pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what type of early work did you take on?
Oh my gosh, we took anything and everything.
Yeah.
I be honest with you, we made point of purchase display parts. We made parts for laundry equipment, just about anything you can think of. If it was work in front of us, we took it.
Wow.
We'd move everything out in the morning and bring it back at night.
Is this the small shop you
The
had?
small shop, yeah. I don't do that anymore, thank God. No.
What logistically, how would you move equipment in and out of that facility?
It wasn't the equipment, it was just parts. It was
just
material.
Parts. Got
It was having room to continue to do the job.
Right.
We had this point of purchase display we made that was, 3 foot by 3 foot. Well, when you're in 1,100 square feet and you have to make 300 of those,
Yeah.
the math doesn't add up.
No, not at all.
No need to call in a feng shui expert.
Yes.
Get it out of my house.
Get it out quickly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, can you kind of paint the contrast for us, Todd, in terms of what was it like starting out in that dinky facility and then your first big expansion, about to 12,000 square feet or so?
Honestly, I thought I was in a football stadium, and I honestly thought we'd never move again.
Okay. Well.
And 12 months later, we went to 18,000 square feet. Wow. And I think 14 months after that, we took another 12,000 square feet. And then we took the building across the street from us. So, we expanded pretty quick.
Yeah.
But the challenge was trying to keep production going at the same time of expanding or moving.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
We were really lucky. And, I credit, there's a couple guys at the shop who did a wonderful job of moving us into the building we're currently at. We had 3 record months in a row in the middle of a move.
What was the time frame on that?
What time?
When did that happen?
2013.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, end of 12 into 13.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
I think if you're well organized, it's not hard to move. And if you have some good people who really put the effort and timelines and all that stuff, all the stuff I'm not good at.
Well, that's sort of the key, isn't it? You find people to complement your skill set and you run with it. I'm really curious about conversation we were having previous to April, and was the difficulties of growing that quickly. What are some things that present themselves right away that you perhaps maybe weren't?
So we had grown from like 2 million to 5 million pretty quickly, and operationally it was tough. And then when we did that great big growth a couple of years ago, it was even tougher. I mean, just trying to keep all the parts moving through the shop, the timelines. We started to see that our ERP was not as robust as what it should be, and switched ERPs. People's a challenge. Everyone has that same challenge. But I really think operationally and trying to keep things moving was the toughest part. When you go with that kind of growth, there's just a lot of moving parts. We really struggled with it. Would I tell you our on-time delivery was great during that time frame? No, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about the people aspect of it that you found challenging?
Finding, keeping, because of course the market was changing. Yeah. And, we were pretty lucky, as I mentioned. We had a couple companies around us who had metal fabrication divisions that were slowing down, and they had laid off some people. So we were able to pick up a bunch of people, which really helped, who had some experience. And then we bought our first robotic bending cell. That really helped us.
Okay.
We had a job they were running. We had 5 people running it all the time, and day and night.
Wow.
And put a robot cell in, and it was down to 2 people.
Okay.
So it made a big difference. That made a big difference. But how do you get all that work through your shop so quickly? It's, you're trying to squeeze a lot of work through a really small time frame.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
And it's tough.
Yeah. So that kind of sets the stage, kind of entering the pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. Where, you had close to 100 employees around that time.
Yeah.
And kind of describe to us what the pandemic was like for Ludlow, and then some of the changes that started to occur after that.
It was scary as hell, to be honest with you.
Why so?
Just not knowing what was going to happen.
Oh, sure.
Not knowing if we were going to have to shut down. We were lucky to have some customers in in industries that needed to stay open, so we got to stay open.
Right.
That helped a lot. And then, I always call it luck, but we were in the right place at the right time for a couple really good jobs that, we grew that first year of COVID, which I never thought we'd grow. I thought it was going to be mass labor. We had one quarter where it was like, oh boy, this is going to be tough. And we dropped number of people down. And then from then on, it was just growth.
Wow. So you had to drop to what, about 80 people?
About 80. No, we were down to full time. We were down to 71 people.
Wow. Okay.
So did you take on new customers during that year?
One new customer and one existing customer was going berserk in the medical industry. And,
Okay.
that helped a lot.
Right.
They didn't have the horsepower to put all that out. They just didn't.
Right.
And we were there and we had capacity and we were already a vendor and,
Right.
we understood their quality. We understood what they wanted.
You were open.
We were open.
Yeah.
Yes, we were open. That really is what sets the stage for us to grow.
Absolutely.
And then we just added customer. We added probably 8 new customers over a year, which is a lot depending on what you're doing.
Oh, sure.
We launched, I don't even know how many parts, 500, 600 new parts. And constantly looking at new customer base helps us. Not that I want to get rid of my existing customers. I don't ever want to do that, but we need to keep growing.
Yeah. So around this time, you had some new blood join the organization, and there started to begin an investigation of formalizing some processes.
Yes.
And you mentioned new customers, and that was kind of part of it as well. Can you kind of touch upon that and describe how the seeds of change started not only be planted, but start to germinate from there?
Well, we had talked about culture and how we were doing things. I don't think our culture was the best prior to COVID.
Why do you say that?
It just wasn't. A lot of bickering.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I tell people it starts at the top. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised, go do it, get it done, and move on.
Right.
It's the way I was raised.
Yeah.
It's a little different now. I'm going to say it's a little different, but I think it's a lot different now. But I'm being polite. Now culture matters a lot.
Yeah.
It's not only, the hours they work. It's not only the money. It's what other things. Are people happy? Do we have a clean shop?
Right.
Some of the things that we rolled out to change. We do monthly luncheons. We do, a summer picnic. We do a Christmas party.
Yeah.
And we just seen the employee change. And then I think culture is, I've said it out to you before, you've got that 80-20 rule.
Yes.
And, converting some of the 20% or 5%, whatever it is, over to employees who have a good attitude and want a good culture. That's what we worked for.
Wow.
But it was really hard.
That's a challenge for
and
anybody,
it's
right?
Still, and to give you a roadmap exactly of how we, our HR department did a lot of that. They're really good at it.
Sure.
My wife runs all of HR. She has somebody who reports to her, but she definitely understands what the employees are looking for and talks to them. And, that's one of the things I pride myself is when I get in the morning, I walk the shop, I want to see everybody. And I think that's part of the culture. It should be.
Managed by walking around.
Yeah.
You can see a lot walking around.
Oh yeah. That's an old maxim, right? It's and for a reason. I'm really curious about how it is as a business owner, you've been able to navigate the tremendous amount of change that you've seen, just not only in terms of culture, but the business itself.
It's been, there's no doubt it's been a challenge, but I think hiring people has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Giving up some of the power has helped a lot.
Yeah.
That let go thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you ever fully let go as an owner. I don't think you do.
Can you?
I don't think I can. I don't think that's my personality.
Sure.
But there's things I don't want to do. And once they were off my plate, I realized I don't want to do those anymore.
What were some of those things?
Oh, just the day-to-day operational stuff I just didn't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
Not that I don't understand it. I do. It's just there are people who are a lot better at it than I am. I'd rather go out and make sales calls and deal with the business side of it more than day-to-day stuff.
Well, there's a whole school of thought about you absolutely just concentrate on your strengths, right?
Yep.
Do what energizes you, and find people who are energized by doing the things that you don't like to do.
Yeah, I mean, for example, like bringing Chris on in quality, that was a huge win for us. It got us organized in certain things we were not doing. It used to be when a customer come in for an audit, we were always going, gosh, are we going to pass? Are we going to pass? Are we going to pass? Does everyone have all their information? Is it all right there in front of you? To be honest with you, I don't even really think about it now.
Yeah.
Ah, what a load off, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was with new customers coming in a lot. That was a lot to think about.
And I think you used the phrase, it's made it easier for you to kind of sell, which I imagine something is what you've always done and something you look forward to doing.
Oh yeah, I love that part of it. That's the part I like. I like going to see customers.
Yeah.
I think traveling can sometimes get old, but I enjoy that part. And I enjoy still making cold calls. I don't mind hearing no. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Did you keep that old book?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I got a new book. No, I have a new book now. There's too much on this. You don't even need a book anymore.
Right.
No, it's all it's the mobile book.
You mentioned Chris, and although it was kind of a quality focused discussion, but in a way that new jobs are brought in and the team is pulled together, there's conversations happening with different departments, and that gets filtered down. So in a way, that process kind of became a mechanism to kind of get everybody on the same page. And is that still working for you? And
yes.
Do you were you kind of surprised to see that type of effect through such I don't want to call it a simple exercise, but a kind of a common sense and necessary exercise?
Yeah, I freely admit that. Yes, it surprised me. And once it was going, it was like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
And now it's, all right, we need to do more of it.
Right.
And that's the next stage is, all right, what's next for us?
Yeah.
What else do we bring on board? What process do we bring? Chris is in charge also of the safety council.
And are we still up above like 1,000?
Yeah, knock on wood, wherever it is. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we are. So, and that really helps. It does. I mean, and we talk about it. We talk about it with the employees. I mean, our last monthly luncheon, we talked about the fact that, hey, look at how long we've gone.
Right. Well, when you don't have an OSHA reportable, problem, it puts people at ease, right?
It does. It also puts it at ease of, we all know if you listen to the news where the insurance companies are going. It seems like every day they're going up and up and up and up and up and up, and who knows where it's going to stop.
Right.
If you can hopefully keep your mod low for your workman's comp, that's a big help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then when you have the insurance audits, when they come in and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
We just had one. So I was very pleased with what they said.
Sure.
And I'd like to say, oh, that's me. It's not. It's the people.
Again.
Management and the guys on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. A sheet metal shop is like a sneaky place where injuries can occur. You're not, especially if you're not thinking about it, whether it's cuts or in places running a forklift. And I know I've stood on many a pallet I shouldn't have been on, but when you're 5'9" in a land of Midwest giants, you want to get a look over their shoulders. But to be able to have
like?
it was I don't like being 5'9", but being in a shop where you've had, it's more than 1,000 days, right, without the reportable incident. I mean, and there's a certain pride that you took in it. Like, that was the one thing you were emphatic about.
Yep.
You didn't want to.
You didn't want to talk about it, but
yeah, you don't want to. It's like the no hitter thing. I understand.
Knock on wood, exactly.
Yeah,
and we do talk about it. It's more of we don't talk about the days. We just talk about, all right, what else are we doing?
Well, and like, what's going back to culture? What is this culture of safety and dotting the I's and crossing the T's that makes that possible? You got people in place to do that.
Yeah, and it's the little things. It's making sure people are doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it.
Right.
Wearing seatbelts on forklifts, and we have stop signs in the shop to stop.
Sure.
Look, don't just fly through. And I understand when you're in a hurry, things like that happen, but they do a really good job of making sure they don't happen.
Yeah.
And it's not just managers and supervisors, it's the employees also.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're the ones pushing it.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself a better communicator at work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Than before? Oh gosh, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you used to be more of a kind of a down the chain of command type of communicator? Or is it just...
I've never been that way.
Okay.
I've always went out and, there's not a lot of filter with me.
So it's just my way or the highway type thing.
Yeah, and that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not really that way anymore. There's certain things, equipment, no, I will buy the equipment.
Right. That's once again an extension of stuff you like.
It's what I like, and I also believe that if I buy the wrong thing and it doesn't work, I only have one person to be mad at, and it's myself. So
Right.
I really don't want to be mad at somebody else.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. So in terms of capacity through your shop, can you give us a before and after, what it's like before the pandemic and since the pandemic?
Beginning of pandemic, we definitely had capacity. And from then till, gosh almighty, I would say 6 months ago, we were always rushing around. And the market's changing a little bit. We've seen things soften a little bit.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of capacity now. We've added more equipment. We've added more automation. We added part sorting, and we ran a couple of jobs through it, and we were all like, oh my gosh, we really can make a lot of parts really fast and get them out the door really fast.
Has the automation and the part sorting been sort of the biggest technological leap of late for
Yes.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still, I think it's going to be 3 months before we get it down.
Okay.
Sure.
What are some of the challenges?
How to pull parts out of the skeletons, what
Out
to
of
do
the
with the
nest,
skeleton. Yes, exactly. That's the biggest challenge. And you have to look at every part and then understand what to do with it.
So you're almost like rethinking your whole laser cutting process.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hey, the laser didn't run, so we didn't sort it because the sorting was slower than the laser. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to count parts.
Right.
It's expensive. There'll be certain jobs that, yes, we don't sort because they won't sort real well.
Yeah.
If they're really small and things like that, we'll cluster them and sort the cluster. But I want to sort everything I can. And I don't think we'll buy another laser without sorting.
Yeah.
Wow.
How many people do you have involved in like preparing nests for the laser cutting machine?
One.
Oh, wow. So it's not a lot of in-depth training. It's just
A lot of software.
A lot of software.
Yeah.
A lot of software. But I give him credit. He's out there videotaping or looking at his nests and looking at how they sort and looking how they're putting on the pallets below and spending a lot of time going, all right, next time we're going to do it this way.
Well, that's for a lot of people, that sort of still is the black box, right? How to do that well, consistently.
There's not a lot of people doing it.
Right.
There's not.
And the machine tool manufacturer can't lean on a non-existent customer base to get best practices. So the early adopters kind of have to figure it out on their own.
Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm really, on that side of it, we are definitely not one of the earliest ones, that's for sure. I mean, we're still fairly early, but there's some other people who've been doing it for a few years, which is just shocking that there's companies out there doing it that long.
Do you see that as kind of a competitive advantage?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we peaked out between 2 shifts during the week and a weekend shift, I think at one point we had almost 17 people sorting parts.
Wow.
Whoa. Which speaks well for your output, but
Yes.
at the same time, it's a lot of hourly costs.
A lot of hourly cost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, kind of tied to that, you have that 20 kilowatt laser.
Yeah, we have 20 and 15 with sorting.
Oh, is that done anything to improve edge quality?
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
maybe
I mean,
you're not deburring as many.
We don't
parts?
deburr as much. We
Yeah.
don't. I think everyone gets all hung up on the speed and only speed.
Right.
I'd much rather have a really nice edge.
Yeah.
Even if I only ran it at 90% of what its capabilities are. I'm fine with it.
Saves on reject rates.
Yes, it does.
It's kind of crazy the edge quality on some of that thicker stuff.
It's amazing how fast it's come along. I mean,
Right.
from my 3 kilowatt, that's from 2012. Or
That was
whatever
only
it is,
supposed to be for
11.
like thin parts, right?
Yes. It's amazing how fast it's just ramped up. It seems to be slowing down, from the standpoint of how much bigger they're getting.
Right.
But I don't think you're going to see the same ramp from 2 kilowatt to 30.
No.
Like you will from 30 to whatever it's going to go to. I just don't.
Right. And forgive me for not doing my homework. Was that those fiber lasers using? And what have you found in terms of, of late with the improvement in fiber laser capacity? What has that done for your part quality, and what has it done for your throughput?
You'd have a hard time filling us up with laser work. It would be really difficult.
Wow.
I would say that. That's what I've noticed. I'm sure there's people out there who could fill me, the great big OEMs, but I still think it's really difficult to fill it. And then you throw sorting into it, and I can run it overnight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We pick up that much more. So the throughput really, it's so much better.
So make it easier to sell with that kind of
capacity?
Yeah,
it does.
Does it open the door to like maybe clients you haven't really been as aggressive pursuing?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that I've always pursued them, but I don't think that we were big enough. And, didn't have all the processes in place. And now that we have what I'd call most of it in place and are getting bigger, it's definitely opened doors.
Yeah.
To companies that never.
Do you see a future for like plasma cutting shops? And I realize they do stuff like 4 inches and stuff, but I'm talking about now, like if you can cut inch and a half pretty efficiently.
Yeah, just plasmas are so much cheaper.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah. I mean, I see that.
They just are. But I can see it being laser cut up the 2-inch plate.
Yeah. I just see like if there's more shops investing in that type of high-powered laser, I mean, theoretically they'd have more capacity, and if they're looking to fill it, I don't know. It just it's interesting to see how the technology that was once only dedicated to thin sheet now is kind of
dominating the thick.
Right, and taking post-processing out of the picture.
Oh yeah. It is. And that's why I say the growth of it and how fast it's ramped up is unbelievable. Yeah. It really is. I wish the press brake industry would have the same growth and ramp up in it.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah. Is it just because of the nature of the process, you think, or not enough minds have applied themselves?
I think that it's amazing because you look at lasers and they probably wouldn't admit it, but most of them have kind of taken bits and pieces from other machines they've seen.
Sure.
So you don't feel like they're redesigning the wheel.
Yeah.
Where I think with robotic press brakes, it seems like they all want to put their own little spin on it. What works, leave it. I mean, why reinvent it?
Right.
And that's something that I think that they want. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's why it is further behind. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're able to process more.
Yep.
The machines and with the right operator. But in terms of being that plug and play kind of automated thing, still ways to go in your house.
Especially with thicker material.
Yeah, it's still ways to go. It is. Fiber lasers make it easy. I mean, when you were using CO2s, you had to really know something about cutting. Not that you don't have to know anything about cutting with fiber. That's not what I'm saying. But it was far more difficult with CO2s.
To do it well?
Yes, to do it well.
Yeah.
To be known as, hey, I've really good cut edge, good quality. That was difficult. Yeah. That was really difficult.
Monitoring wattage and the assist gas. Yeah.
Yep. How clean you keep things. There's a lot that goes into it. Now, you can throw a fiber laser on my floor and I can be running, and if they can build it in 3 days, I could be running in 3 days.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
After you had to wait 6 months.
Yeah.
No, it's a little bit better though, right?
Yeah, that's been an industry struggle. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you've made the statement when we chatted for the story. I mean, you're a big proponent of automation. We've kind of talked about part sorting. Do you see welding automation coming along at maybe a little bit more successful clip?
Yeah, we've definitely added a lot of robots the last couple of years. I mean, we went from 2 to we have 8 now.
Yeah.
So we'll have more coming.
Are they cobots or are they fully automated?
We're going to order our first one here shortly.
Okay.
To bring on for just welding.
Oh, wow.
It won't be for anything else because in welding, if you put it inside of a cell, you can run it at full speed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On a press brake, unless you put it inside of a cell, you can't. And a lot of people are not putting them inside cells.
Right.
And I tend to believe that, excuse me, our people are still faster than a cobot.
Mm-hmm.
The robot, maybe it's close, but it keeps running.
Right.
It makes up for it.
Yeah.
Cobots, I think they have a future. There's no doubt, but it all depends on what people are going to do with them,
Right.
And how they're going to utilize them.
Right.
You know, they are fairly inexpensive compared to a robotic bending cell, let's say, but they're definitely not as productive.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Do you have an idea how you might be using yours? Or are you just getting it to experiment?
I'm getting it to experiment with a lot of things, mostly on the welding side.
Yeah.
Getting weld parameters for our robots, but then doing lower volume, quick changeover parts, parts that have a lot of weld on them that tend to beat up on the guys.
Right.
And now all they have to do is load it in the fixture and hit that button and go. And they might have to put it in 2 different fixtures, but it's still going to be easier on them.
Oh, wow.
Especially for those repetitive tasks that they may not enjoy doing.
Yep.
For 10 hours.
You know, you can weld 50 pieces on a robot. It's not a problem if you fixture it right.
Right.
But I tend to believe that works better on a cobot.
Right.
Okay.
But even though there's guys doing thousands of pieces on cobots,
Yeah.
and they're not as fast though.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not even close to being as fast as one of our cells.
Right.
You know, we've run the same parts and timed it out and went, all right, what do we get more of?
Mm-hmm.
We've got a good part from all of it, but it's definitely not as fast.
So it's interesting you mentioned like having that cobot behind like guarding to kind of maximize it. I've never seen anyone do that. Do you feel they're competitive with maybe a low payload robot? Or it definitely you think it's faster than a human
I think more
welder?
and more people are going to be doing it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of companies who are putting cells around them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not elaborate cells.
Right.
They're very simple.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it depends on what kind of parts you're doing too. If they're great big parts, you can't put one around. Of course not.
Right.
Right.
But if you're doing small parts or you're doing, you know, testing like we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely makes sense without a doubt.
Sure.
And you can build your own cell. You don't have to have them build it. You could do it yourself if you know how to do that.
Be your own integrator.
Yes, I don't want to do that.
Do you have a automation expert who kind of takes this on, or is this
Group effort.
okay? Yeah.
You know, I've got 3 people in welding who understand how to program robots.
Well, that's kind of exciting.
So a cobot is a lot, you know, they walked me through it last week when I went to the demo.
Oh, yeah. Use your iPad and
Yes.
there you go. Yeah.
It was much more simple.
So it's kind of cool the welders involved instead of like an engineer driving it. Do the welders any hesitation, or did they show kind of excitement to take this on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best people to program robots for welding are welders
Yeah.
Oh,
because they understand it.
Yep. They understand the parameters. They understand what can and cannot be done.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. That's who I think should be doing. Not that an engineer can't do it or could start it, but I think ultimately somebody in the welding department has to look at it.
Sure.
Yeah. From where you are now and where you first started off, did you have any idea you'd be operating a business of this size?
No clue.
Yeah.
No clue. You know, I always wanted to get it to that $20 million market and go, okay, that was the hurdle, and took a long time to get there. But no, I mean, I wanted that, but you know, I don't want to be one of these great big conglomerates and own 40 different shops or have 2,000 people. That doesn't really excite me. And there's other guys who are really good at doing it.
Right.
So let them do it.
Well, then you couldn't make all the cold calls. You'd be too busy.
Couldn't do that. Couldn't decide what equipment to buy, because I tend to believe when you're that big, there's no way you know what you're buying.
Right.
As the owner or CEO, there's no way.
Right.
Um,
Very difficult.
very difficult. And I tend to believe you better know what you're buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's quite a testament. I mean, you're actually producing more parts, making more revenue than when you did with more people before the pandemic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
What
that,
do you attribute that to?
Part mix, number 1. So bringing new customers. Number 2, getting everyone to pull on the same side of the rope. That was a big one. Wow. And of course, the third one being automation. Just because I didn't have part sorting, I still had automated lasers. And, you know, our first job we ran across the 15K was so much faster than what we could do on 3 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
So we had already seeing how fast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we can cut a truckload of steel in a day instead of 3 days.
Right.
So
literally.
yes. Oh yeah. Bringing on the robotic bending opened up a whole new door for us.
And you've been able to bring on more customers as well.
Oh yeah.
And doing it more efficiently. So,
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of pistons firing as they should.
Moving at the same time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It really is.
Are you talking the same breadth of customer mix that you had early on when you were taking anything and everything?
No, gosh, no. We were probably, let's see here, it's got to be 7 years ago, we were probably 80% lawn and garden.
Okay.
We're not even close to that anymore.
Okay.
We've grown the business, which helped a lot. And, one customer we parted ways with, which was great for both of us, which is good. And, but growing the customer base is what really changed.
Okay.
And we didn't want anyone that deep into us ever again.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
But it's hard to say no.
Right.
Well,
I mean, it's really hard to say no.
the risk, of course, is that one industry takes a dive and you're left holding the bag.
They sneeze and you feel it for 2 years.
Well put.
Yeah.
What have been some of the new segments that you've successfully courted?
Truck, trailer, fire equipment, little bit of RV.
Oh, wow.
Generators are just a few of them. And then agricultural, more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A little bit more construction work than we did before.
You talking structural? Or?
No, construction equipment.
Equipment.
Tractors.
Bones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's definitely moved itself out from just being one or two industries focused to
Yeah.
9 or 10 industry focused,
Mm-hmm.
which definitely makes it easier to sleep at night.
Yeah. I bet it does.
What type of revenues are you looking for this year?
I hope to be up 5%, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I hope to be.
Yeah.
I think the market's changing. I think it is slowing down a little bit.
Sure.
I think, you had the great big Amazon bubble of, all the conveyors and all the vehicles and
Right.
everything else.
All the warehouses.
And all that other stuff that,
Sure.
for 18 months just kind of stopped, and now it's starting to come back. So I think the second half of the year, even second quarter, is going to start to pick up, and it's going to be strong the second half without a doubt.
Good for you.
Are you bullish in the near term beyond 2024?
Gosh, if I could say that, that would be wonderful, but I can't even think about.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my customers are saying yes.
Yeah.
We're seeing it good,
It's encouraging.
but I think interest rates will make a difference.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we have this wonderful election coming.
I don't know if that's the word I would
Katie
use.
bar
but-
the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
When
we're
it-
still feeling the lag from the interest rate hikes, right? We're still dealing with a little bit of that still.
Oh, yeah.
Delayed response.
Oh, yeah, you are. And equipment's becoming more expensive to buy because you have that higher interest rate.
Yeah.
So that's going to change things.
Right.
What it holds in the future, I wish I knew. That would be great. But, as I tell my guys, we just got to keep moving forward,
Yeah.
working harder and trying to improve.
Is there anything on the wish list that you have? You maybe put in your Amazon
Shopping bag.
shopping bag. There you go.
That's a loaded question, and my wife would tell you. Yeah, I mean, next for us is probably something someday into tube laser cutting, more robotic welding. Our machine shop is really growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really grown the last couple of years, and I tend to see that growing even more.
Very good. That's what Dana mentioned in his article. I'm kind of wondering what now at this stage in the ball game, sort of a higher view, what still keeps you going in the office excited?
I still like talking to customers.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I really do.
Yeah.
Seeing what challenges we have now. They keep you on your toes. They're tough days, but most of the time it is really good.
Good.
And having people you work with that you really like and work hard
That helps.
makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. And you're kind of interesting position now that the second generation is kind of entering. What's the dynamic like there?
They don't report to me, which is a good thing probably for them.
Yeah.
And myself. But, it's a challenge, bringing your family in or working with family. That's always a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
It is. My oldest is one of the assistant plant managers, and my middle son is doing IT work for us. Learning a lot. I think that they see it is a lot of hours to do this, whether it be me or somebody else in the company. But it's got its challenges. And, I think the biggest thing I look for is how do they work with others? And they work really well.
Yeah.
And they do.
Great.
They get along with people. It's not, hey, my parents own it.
Right.
Right. So
That's got to make you feel
Yes.
good, right?
That's what you want.
Yeah.
That's what you want. It is.
It's got to also kind of be a nice little tacit pat on the back for yourself, right? Like, hey, I did something right here.
Yeah, I'd probably give more credit to my wife. So.
Well, that says you should, right? We all understand that's where the credit really belongs, right?
Yep, it is. It is where the credit goes.
Did they show an interest in joining the company, or is it something that you said was kind of there if they wanted to?
I think they did. I wanted them to work somewhere else for a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
At first, and they both did that. And I really think they wanted to do it. They just didn't know the timing. And for my oldest, it was perfect timing. And for my middle, he was in a good job with a large company here in Chicago, and they weren't moving him where he wanted to go. And I needed somebody to take over IT. And I said, all right, this is what's open. We know you want to go to that path, so come here and do it.
Wow. Cool.
So whether he stays with us,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be up to him.
Yeah.
I want them to do what they want to do.
Yeah. Does family conversation now revolve around work stuff all the time?
No, sometimes, there are days, of course.
Right.
But we try to shut it off.
Yeah.
We're empty nesters now.
Yeah.
So.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It feels really good, yeah. It does.
Amen.
But we try not to talk about it after, 6 o'clock. But prior to this, it was the conversation every day, all day, 24 hours a day, which really gets old.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing worse is being married to a math teacher.
Wow, if you're married to a math teacher, I have a feeling you might be in trouble.
My daughter is.
Luckily, she only listens to podcasts of celebrities. It's actually not. Yeah, it's she's into celebrity autobiographies now. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's nothing like hearing Barbara Streisand in your house for a week.
Wow.
She didn't have the earbuds in. It's kind of unsettling.
I haven't had that experience. We'll talk about that another time.
There you go. Well, anything in the future outside of equipment you see for your business?
I can see us expanding.
Mm-hmm.
I can.
Out of Waukegan? Or
Yeah.
is it- wow.
Yeah. Maybe something down south, maybe something in a different state.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
I think it's tough to grow all in one facility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is. And customers are starting, and they have forever, but some of our customers now asking about it.
Right.
Sure.
So it's something that we could see potential. Whether or not I ultimately want to do it might be a different story, but
Yeah.
I can definitely see it. I especially with all the consolidation in our industry
Yeah.
that's happening.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal.
Right.
Well, and you've got the movement of a lot of customers going to the southeast.
Yep.
A lot of industry, right?
But yet they're still buying from the Midwest.
Right.
Right.
What do you think the story is there? Is it quality?
I don't know if I can be honest and say it.
This is
be
the
honest
place
with
for it.
Yeah, this is the place for it. Yeah. Where thousands of my friends will go, you're...
Only 10% of the audience get to this point,
Right.
In
Yeah.
the podcast.
I think it might be capacity's number one.
Sure.
I think that's a big deal. It really is.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
you've had a lot of years to build that up.
Yes, we have. And we bought at the right time. Buying at the beginning of the pandemic or middle of pandemic
Yeah.
was good timing. It was lucky to need to get rid of 2 CO2 lasers and just, biting the bullet and going, oh my gosh, this is like giving away, kittens. You couldn't give them away.
Wow.
And You almost feel like you're paying to take it away.
Wow.
And just biting a bullet and going, you know what, we're going to do it. Yeah. It is what it is.
Well, and Lord knows the vendors needed the business.
Yes.
Well, they couldn't get stuff to their customers, though.
Oh, nobody could get anything.
Yeah.
Control systems and the.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like that again.
I had a German vendor tell me 18 months. This was 2022, but they were waiting for control system parts 18 months.
18 to 24 months is what I've heard people wait on certain things.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe it.
And it was a challenge for everybody in the industry.
Yeah.
All the machine tool manufacturers had that challenge.
Yeah.
And if they said they didn't, they were not telling the truth. I'm wondering where we're going to go next, because you're starting to see a lot of different equipment manufacturers coming in the United States.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's going to be the next challenge, I think.
Yeah. Whether it's, Turkish manufacturers have been here for a while, Spanish, Portugal, but now starting to see more of these folks from Asia.
Yep.
You see it in FabTech Mexico, where they're most of the laser companies represented are Chinese. And you're starting to see a little bit of it at FabTech, but it's definitely a different dynamic.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what they do with, quite honestly, the price. That's about what, that's the thing I worry about. It is it going to become where they're not trying to advance the technology. And as long as they keep doing that, I think we'll be fine. Right. I really do. Because they're all the major manufacturers are good. They all make good equipment. They do.
Yeah, it's the whole Canon and Nikon dynamic.
Yes.
Like you can't go wrong with a lot of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's who you like.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's features, of course, but I think they all make decent equipment. They do.
Is connectivity an issue or a desire that you have for your equipment?
Have to. It's one of the reasons why we stick with, the bistronic lasers and bistronic brakes.
Yeah.
Because they're all connected.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own Internet of Things.
Yes. And
you surprised we haven't seen more movement on that from the different machine tool vendors in the fabricating marketplace? I mean, I understand why, but you figure it sooner or later they would have to capitulate.
You'd think that sooner or later they'd have to realize that you're going to have to play nice in the sandbox together at some point.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it all.
Right.
I'm sure there's the big players think, oh no, we can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't do it all because you can't get the people.
Right.
And you're not going to get everyone away from whatever manufacturer. You're just not going to.
Right.
It would be nice if they did.
Yeah.
It would definitely make things more helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for us, we base it on can we pull the information from it? Mm-hmm. And then what do we do with that information? Can we put it back in Excel spreadsheets? Can we use something like Power BI to generate reports?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So that way we're not tied just to one manufacturer.
Right.
Well, you need one data set of business information, right? You got to have that in order to move yourself forward.
Oh, yeah. Well, without it, I mean, information, the equipment's great, and it matters. It's fast. Automation's coming on, but the information is what really matters. And is it good information?
Right. Is it real business intelligence, or is it just data?
It's even to the point where, if everyone's clocking in and out of the jobs properly, the information is so easy.
Oh, sure. Wow.
It's
nice for you.
It's tough when they don't, because the information is not always up to date.
Right. When we say clocking in, it's out of jobs?
Oh, yeah. Actual jobs. It's a challenge in our industry.
Yeah.
Training the workforce.
Barcodes or
barcodes,
input?
punch in, whatever.
Yeah. Still a challenge.
Still a challenge.
Wow.
You have the people that wait till the end of the job to punch in and out.
Right.
Or, do it in the beginning. So it's, we've been working on now automating some of that process, and then also giving visual computer screens or TVs up in each department.
Yeah.
To show, are they clocked in to a job currently? Are they not clocked in? It's not that they're not working. It's nothing to do with that.
Right.
It's, are we getting the data at the right time?
Right.
Yeah.
If they're halfway through the job, it's great to know that.
Yeah. I think everybody can relate to that. Your head gets somewhere else and you just forget the one step that is probably not that, didn't seem that important. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. that's an issue.
You were talking about shifting the mindset of culture in the shop. Did that include like trying to find a new way to recruit workforce?
Yeah, it's and I will say it's very difficult. Everything we've done, I mean, we've used LinkedIn, we've used Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we've used it. We're starting to do the internship with the local college, working with the high schools. You know, the thing I worry about is if you bring these kids in and you're not prepared, or all you do is you park them in front of a, press brake or a spot welder, they get bored and they leave.
So they're not only they have a bad taste left from the employer, but also maybe the industry.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to be that shop that turns them away.
No, and it's not about, I mean, it's great. I'm not going to lie. It's great having 25 kids on your floor that, quite honestly, you don't pay the same as what you do my guy who's got 15 years experience. Right. But at the same time, I don't want to push them out the door.
Yeah, it's a lot of turnover.
It's a lot of turnover. And that's not what we're looking for. Right. I still have, oh my gosh, the original 6, I have 3. So
after how many years?
18, start of 18.
Oh, wow.
That's kind of impressive.
We still have a lot of employees that have been with us 10 plus years.
So, it seems like you have a good mix. I mean, a lot of young faces, too.
We do. But my young faces are 30 now. They've been with me since 18.
It does happen.
Yes.
Happens to all of us.
Yeah.
They look younger and younger, and I look older and older. It's amazing how that works. I'm waiting for that to reverse, where I just look old, and now they're gaining on me. It hasn't happened.
Put you in one of those Ted Williams tubes.
Exactly.
You figure that out, you can get out of the fabrication
cryogenics.
Business.
Yeah. But
we'll just break you out for a company meeting.
Exactly.
Put you back in there.
You
said you did love technology.
Exactly.
Just throwing that out there.
Are you comfortable, Todd? Are you okay? Okay.
Now you got Dan going.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're 2 minutes from me starting to talk about heads in fish bowls. Anyway. So on that note,
like working with like organizations like Great FMA.
Oh yeah. Of course, the FMA's been great. I like the camps. I like what they're doing there. The FMA is doing a much, much, much better job of advertising it, making sure people know about it, which helps companies like mine. And I wish we could do more of it. And it looks like it's being added more and more around this local area, which is nice to see.
And you kind of walk the walk as well in terms of your relationship with College of Lake County.
Oh, yeah.
In Lake County, Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to believe we owe it to give back to it. Yeah. So, without the industry, we wouldn't be where we're sitting. So,
there's a certain kind of pride there too, because I mean, you're a product of that educational system, or
yes.
you're not. Yeah.
Yep. That is my schooling, College of Lake County.
Be true to your school.
Yep.
Lancers forever. That's all I got in terms of local community college mascots. Yeah. Were they always the Lancers?
Always the Lancers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What is a Lancer?
It's the pokey stick.
Oh, the pokey
from the
stick.
night.
The pokey stick.
Pokey
At least they didn't call it Pokemon.
Yeah, right.
The pokey stick.
The Pikachu. I know you're heavily involved with Pikachu conversations with your younger employees.
Yeah.
There you go.
On that note.
Yeah.
On that note.
Well, yeah, that's about it. So congratulations on your industry award.
Thank you.
Continued success.
No, thank you for having me.
This is great to have you.
Yeah, I think the conversation lets people know that, as we were talking about our nuts, bolts, and thingamajigs foundation, that, the first job is just the beginning. And whether it's sales, which I don't think we've ever really had like a person speak about sales as a career path within metal fabricating, but certainly it's an important one.
And it's a good career.
Yeah, you meet a lot of people.
It's a great career.
Yeah.
If you're good at it financially, it's a really good career.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of when people talk about success financially in this industry, that's what they need to keep in mind. It's not just laying down the same bead every day. It's the next step and then the next step after that. Mm-hmm. So thanks for sharing that.
No, Anytime.
Yeah.
Great to have you.
Anytime. No,
Yeah.
thank
So
you for having me.
yeah, reach out to us if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, complaints,
Pikachu
fan
characters.
letters, Christmas wish items. Reach out to us at podcast@fmamfg.org. Please tell your friends and family about this podcast. Thank you and good night.
The Fabricator podcast is a production of Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, located in Elgin, Illinois. The show is hosted by Dan Davis and the staff of FMA Communications. The podcast is produced by Gareth Slager and recorded and edited with the help of Brandon Geyer. Sales support provided by Andy Flando. Additional production support by Elizabeth Gavin, Dana Weicker, Mary Diamond, Mike Owens, and me, Sarah Spring. Thank you for listening.